There's a little delay between the. Okay, 1 second. Hello, Rachel and Sonja.
Hi.
Hello, hello, and welcome to the Jewish Women Entrepreneurs and Leaders podcast. I'm very excited to interview both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. So I'll give a little background on how this idea of interviewing you in our podcast came. You actually came as a guest into one of our global meetup networking that we have every month, and I think you came to the July meetup. Is that correct? So, just for the people who don't know yet, we've been meeting every month for 4 years, and we have around 30 women coming from all around the world, and we have over 2,000 women in our Facebook group. And so we have a lot of turnover of people that come. We have members, of course, that come every month, but we also have guests that come. And I always say, schedule your Zoom coffee dates. Networking on the Zoom is not enough. Do the follow-up. Write down the name of the people you want to connect to. Find people that you can have strategic partnership. And I always say that, but it's so nice to see that out of this meetup, and probably others that we haven't heard about yet, came out what we call an impact story, meaning that you actually were on this call, you connected, and I'm going to talk about who you are and what you do in a second so people know who you are. But you basically decided to connect, and you decided to collaborate. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So thank you for being here. And I want to introduce you both before we start the conversation so people know who you are. So Sonja Woolff, I hope I'm saying it right. Woolff?
Woolff, yeah.
Okay, Woolff. Okay, sorry, I should have asked you before. Is from South Africa. She's a brand consultant and strategist, and she started her HER agency with the mission to make brands more humans. And I really want to hear more about that because it sounds really interesting. The concepts are really interesting. And she's also the co-host of the Hotline Podcast. So that's for Sonja. And Rachel is from New York. She is the founder of honeybebold. I'm saying it right? honeybebold. Right? Yep. Okay, perfect. Which is a branding and web design agency focused on building bold and impactful brands and websites for mission-driven female entrepreneurs. So you're both on the podcast, so I'll ask each of you different questions so that you both get to share with us your experience. So Sonja, why don't you tell us, how was it for you when you first joined on the global meetup and you saw Rachel was one of the 30 women, little square, right, on the Zoom. And can you take us back just like not on a first date, but, on the, oh my God.
It kind of is, right? Yeah. I mean, it's super important.
Right. So take us back to what was your first reaction when you heard Rachel making her presentation? What light bulb, went on in your head? Can you take us back to that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, so we have this 30 seconds, I guess, have 30 seconds to introduce themselves. And Rachel went before me, and I was always, I'm looking to collaborate and meet other Jewish entrepreneurs. But whenever I hear that someone works in brand or marketing, my ears prick up because I want to meet with them. And I always think that there's an opportunity, we'll get into this later, but how can we not see competition, but we see collaboration? So Rachel had a really great pitch, and I thought, there's someone that I need to meet. And I messaged her and we connected. And I did that with a few other women as well that I have also met up with and connected with. So I think that's really important, and to find people that you can connect with and some people that you want to collaborate with. But so we met up, and we were we met the next week, and we met for a virtual coffee, which was really lovely. And there was obviously a lot of opportunities to collaborate.
Wow, amazing. So basically you did what we suggest you do. You basically did it by the book, like any networking meetup suggests, to but I mean, I can see how not everyone does it. So, I mean, it sounds obvious that you would connect and that you would try to reach out, but not everybody does it. So that's already the first thing. But Rachel, I mean, we're all busy, right? We all have very busy lives, right? And you know, someone reaches out and says, "Hey, can we, you know, schedule a Zoom coffee date?" I know it happens to me. I have to be honest. That I say that I put it at the bottom of my list. I'm like, I don't have time for this now. You know, I have all these things that I have to do. I have my clients, I have this, and like I'm not even sure I'm going to get to it. So I'll answer nicely. I won't say no. I'll say, yeah, of course. Let's be in touch. You know, something a little vague, but then it doesn't really always happen. So what, according to you, happened here that it actually happened that you did get on that Zoom coffee date a week later?
So I actually, a big shift in my business in the past year has been, I don't say no to Zoom coffee dates. And I really don't. I am constantly reaching out to people for Zoom coffee dates. I have a certain amount of time carved out in my weekly schedule for those networking calls, because I think it does two things. One is, obviously there's a potential to meet someone who might be a client, it might be a good possible client, or they might know someone who's a good client. But the other part is just, you know, being an entrepreneur it can be very lonely. And I think that we gain so much from connecting with other people who are kind of going through similar struggles. And I'm super transparent when I have these calls with people. You know, I say, when I first met with Sonja, I was in the middle of a pretty like tough time in my business, and I was very open about that. You know, and it can be very, very helpful to kind of have someone to commiserate with, to bounce ideas off of, and just someone who's kind of going through the same thing. So I've kind of made it a policy. You know, I have my calendar set up so that I'm not taking, you know, 40 hours of calls a week because I couldn't get my work done. But I really, as a rule, if someone wants to have a Zoom coffee date with me, I won't say no. It just might be, you know, a few weeks later or something like that. But with Sonja, I happen to be able to kind of fit it in very quickly, and I'm so glad I did.
Wow, I love that. I love that you have those slots of time ready in your calendar, because I always say to my clients and to, you know, the people in the network, I always say what is not in the calendar doesn't happen, right?
Yep.
If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't happen, right? So when you're already preparing, I think it's also, you know, if you believe in the law of attraction like I do, it's also a way to invite people, right? It's also like a way to have the space in your calendar ready. And so when someone wants to have a call with you, it's not like, oh my God, I don't have time, it's going to be in a few months. Like, no, it's okay.
I really like that. Yeah.
Right?
It is an invitation.
It is an invitation, right?
Being intentional.
It is. Exactly. And I like also when you said, Rachel, that it was a decision that you made, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when, you know, if you're single, when you say that's it, I'm making a decision, I want to start going out on dates. And so you have to make room and you have to be available. Well, it's the same thing. But I want to ask Sonja, Rachel said something interesting. She said, you know, it could be a client, it could be someone who makes a referral, or it could also be a strategic partner. And I say that all the time. Probably people who come to the meetups, they're fed up of me repeating it. But I always say that coming to a networking meetup is not necessarily to get clients. Actually, it's rarely a direct connection to a client. It's usually a connection to either someone who knows someone who will be able to be your client, or, like you did, a strategic partner. So I'm going to ask you this. When you come to a networking meetup, is that something like you have this expectation to find a client and then plan B, I'll have a strategic partner? Or even before you met Rachel, you were aware that, no, I really want a strategic partner. And if I can, I'll have also a client. Which way do you feel that is more representative of your mindset?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question. And so I go to tons of networking events. So I go to lots of in-person networking events, and I also go to virtual networking events. And in the beginning, I think when you're starting off your career, you're starting off your business, you want to get lots of business, right? So you go in with the intention to get clients. And that's one thing. I think, though, as I've gotten older and my business has evolved, what I really want is to know that I have the capacity and I've structured my business correctly so that when I get clients, I've got a network, because we can't take on all the work that comes our way, but we also care about the clients that come our way and feel really grateful that we've got these amazing clients. So you want to make sure that you set up a structure so that if you can't take on the work, you can pass it on. And if it's work that work that you don't do, you can pass it within your network. So for me, in the past year, I would say a big focus of mine has been building my network so that I can service my clients, but also that I have these strategic partnerships of people that I truly believe in, I've seen their work, and I want to work with. Because how amazing is that? And I think it goes back to what Rachel said, to be an entrepreneur can be very lonely. But when you have this network, I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit later, I'm sure, but we met every week. And it's kind of, it's this, I know on a Wednesday, we're not teammates, but we are teammates because we're working on this workshop together. And that is such a wonderful feeling. So when I go into a networking event, to go back to the law of attraction, you never know who you're going to meet and you never know who comes your way. But if you open up to it and you go in with this mindset of, I'm going to meet someone who benefits me, not only in a business way, but that I can learn from, or a friendship, I think that's a very different way to come at it.
Yes, definitely. And I will add to that. I mean, we speak a lot about the feminine leadership in our global network. That's also one of the reasons why I wanted to have a sisterhood only of Jewish women, because it is much more natural and much more organic for women to be in the same room and to say, just like you said, like, oh, who could be interesting, even if she is potentially a competition or potentially has the same client as mine, but I'm going to look at it from a collaboration. And I think we hear a lot from more men, where there are men, or it could even be masculine. I don't make the difference. Some women are also very competitive and are also very looking into, I'm going to get more clients than her. We're talking about feminine leadership. And I think that that's the beauty of having a sisterhood of women who really want to help each other, collaborate, and really make it that everyone is a win-win. Like there's no one who's going to win more than the other. So on that note, Rachel, I want to ask you, so you had your first Zoom coffee date. You met after 1 week after the global meetup. You start to talk about what you each do. When does it happen that you have this idea of this workshop that we're going to talk about, that you're having in a few days, that you're actually inviting everyone, and we'll put the link and we'll talk about it. But when does it happen? Does it happen in the first call right away? You're like, yeah, let's do something together, open your calendars and have already an idea of a workshop? Or is it something that happens after a few Zoom coffee dates? Like, what's the process for you to get to really something concrete and a project that you're going to work on together?
Yeah, so it did not happen right away. That first call, we just, kind of were chatting and getting to know each other and realized just how much we had in common and how much our philosophies about brand were so similar, and and also kind of how we were running our businesses, and we just kind of, you joked earlier that it's like a first date. It kind of is. Like it was discovering our chemistry, and we had chemistry right off the bat. So it was kind of that first call. We said, let's do this again. I think that we should talk again. And I think that it might have been the second coffee date that we had after the networking event that we started saying, we should do something together. I don't know exactly what it will be, but we should do something together. And then I think it maybe like the next time that we met, we finally started concretizing like what that would look like. And then once we decided, okay, we're going to do a workshop together. What we did was actually just Sonja's very, very organized and kept a document with, all the things that needed to be done for the workshop and who was responsible for what. And And like she said, we met every week. I think that must have been in August or September.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least it was at least a couple of months where we met every week basically. And each week, sometimes it was for 5 minutes to say like, did you get this done? Did I get this done? Okay, what still needs to be done? We're both very busy. So we couldn't always meet for a full, 30 minutes or 60 minutes, but sometimes it was just a quick check-in. But it was so great to keep each other accountable and stay on track and say, okay, like we have this thing that we're working on together. And each week, I knew what I had to get done and Sonja knew what she had to get done. And it just kind of kept the momentum going until we finally said, okay, we're ready to promote this to the world. Right.
I love that because you're talking both about a creative and a very strategic and organized process. Like there's both at the same time. And being that you're both creative, we could have thought, okay, so it's going to go like another idea, another spaghetti thrown on the wall, or a bright shiny object that we think is a good idea. But you're talking. So Sonja, I'm going to ask you, like, how was it for you to be the organized one? I'm just saying that because Rachel said that you were organized, right? So you were probably the one keeping track, sending reminders, or being on top, having the document. So, we can say, oh, so you did more work, just to say, like, how was it for you? Were there any, like, I'm counting, I did more work, I spend more time? Or was it more like, okay, let me bring who I am and who, we're both going to each bring what is best for us? Like, how was it? Was there any second thought that you're doing more work or you're responsible more? How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't... I'm quite an organized person. It's how I make sense of it because I'm a creative. So a way that I can manage all the creativity is to be organized, and that's something that's very important to me. So I'm a calendar document gal. Everything, and it's even personal appointments are in everything. If I'm seeing a friend, it's in my calendar, which helps me a lot. And I didn't feel like I was doing more work because it's quick work. And when you get that structure in place, then the rest of it is very easy. So, and it's a lot of work that calms me down. So I know that when stuff is in the calendar, stuff's in a document. So it's my own stuff that I bring and it does help. So no, I didn't feel like I was doing more work. And we spoke about this the other day. We really complemented each other's skills because some of the work I could do very easily, and I do very easily. It's my day job. But something like building a sales page, that's not in any way what I do. And that would take me, we'd still be sitting here with a sales page and I'd be moving a logo around, and Rachel did it, in an hour. So it's about identifying very quickly what you know that you're good at. And then also, working on stuff that you haven't worked on before, but also recognizing that this is going to take me an hour, or I could pass this on to someone, or it would take me a day and it could take someone else an hour. So recognizing where your strengths lie and what to focus on. Also because this is not our main job, right? This is a workshop that we're testing and trialing and feeling really excited about. But we also have to recognize that we both have our main clients. So how can we test something and work on something together while still working on our main clients?
Right. And I think what's interesting is that you said identifying what each person is good at. And Rachel, I'm going to ask you, because I think that this is exactly the theme of your workshop, that entrepreneurs have to find what they're good at and how to align, and this whole topic. So I feel like you've like walked the talk and talked the walk, like you're like doing live what you're telling people to do with their brand. So tell us more about this workshop. I think now it's time to say, like, what is the fruit of this collaboration, and how, we spoke about the how you got together, but now we also want to speak about the what. Yes. What is the result, and what is this workshop? And I think it's interesting to see the parallel between your relationship, where you also saw what everyone was good at and what was everyone's unique brilliance, and which is exactly what you're teaching in the workshop. If I'm not revealing too much, I don't want to do any spoilers, but this okay. right?
It's time for the reveal, the grand reveal. Yeah, this was really the workshop evolved from, when Sonja and I were talking about our shared philosophy on brand identity and how to build a strong brand. The core that we have so much in common, and how we help build impactful brands for our clients, is we're all about getting to the core of our clients' unique magic, right? Like, what is it that makes them uniquely positioned to solve a problem for their clients, right? And so a lot of that is deep work that you have to kind of get underneath the brand and really investigate what is it that makes this brand special and necessary, right? We don't just need a million new brands in the world, right? There's enough of that, but it's about having unique brands that offer something that is special, and that the entrepreneur behind the scenes, or in front of the scenes, as it were, is really uniquely positioned for that. So we kind of talked back and forth about this shared philosophy, that a brand is not just a logo, right? A brand is so much more than that. And so we said, how can we take we both start our projects with this very, very deep brand strategy work. That's actually very similar. And it's, we swap documents and kind of what our brand strategy documents look like. And they're so similar. It's like almost freaky. We're so aligned. And so we said, how can we take that and kind of distill it down to the most kind of basic, really basic core pieces that are going to help an entrepreneur really have a deeper understanding of their brand and how to build something from that. So the workshop is really a kind of 3-part workshop. It's a 90-minute workshop that's taking place this Wednesday, November 13th. And the 3 parts are really understanding your brand identity, your essence as a brand, understanding your audience, and then really kind of finding as Sonja puts it so beautifully, the magic middle of your basically your identity, your audience's identity, and that is really what helps you build your brand story that's going to speak directly to your audience's needs.
Wow, I love that. I love that, because you're a perfect example of that, right? You're really showing how you're doing it as well, not only teaching it to a potential client. But Sonja, talking about audience, about what you're going to be teaching in the workshop for your potential clients, you also have your audience, right? Both yours and Rachel's. And I was wondering if you also had to align together to a specific audience, or if you have the same audience, the same niche, or if it forced you, quote unquote. I always think that being forced to fine tune a niche is a good thing, so I never think it's a bad thing. But did it help you or force you to fine tune both of your niche for this workshop, or did you already have the same exact target market and audience, and it was just a matter of putting it together to the same kind of people?
So we do and we don't. And we decided that for this, when we said that we have similar ways of, seeing of brand strategy and also who we work with, we both want to service female founders or female entrepreneurs, and we both feel very passionately about that. And that's also a big reason why we want to do the workshop, is in both of our work, what is it that we're seeing that people are really struggling with, and how is it that we can help? And we decided that the workshop was one part of that, but really we wanted to help female founders who it's such a big leap to start your business, that we both thought, what can we give? What can we do that really sets them up for success? And where is it that we see them getting stuck? And this workshop is exactly that, where we see people, when we think about starting a new business, And we immediately start thinking about, like, what is our logo going to look like? What are the colors going to look like? And that obviously, because that's way more fun than doing all of the strategy work. And when you don't do the strategy work, and when you don't know that you have to do the strategy work or how to do it, that is where your brand will fall flat. And we wanted to help female founders because we are female founders and we've been female founders and we know where people get stuck. So we decided to come together on the target audience.
Amazing. Love it. Love it. Love it. So we're getting close to the end of this interview, which I think we can continue and talk about a lot of things, brand and strategy. And I have a very, very, I hear what you're saying, because my business is called the Born to Do Business. And everything that I do with my clients, well, I work with clients that are scaling their business. So it's not the beginning and it's not, launching a new brand. But interestingly enough, at every level, there is a need for repositioning, for fine tuning. And people think that when you scale, you're going to talk to a broader audience, which is true. But it's also, you're going to fine tune the niche even more. So it's broader, but in a very fine tuned niche. So I'm very, very aligned with what you're saying. I think it's really one of the challenges of people that either start or scale their business. And I think that women have an emotional connection to their business. And so everything that is happening in their business, whether it's the image or the positioning, is very much their identity and how they see themselves. And so there is a lot of deep work to do, just like Rachel said, about how do I see myself? How do I want to project outside? And this is all the work that is difficult, if not impossible, to do by yourself. So I think it's a great added value that you're offering in this workshop. And so we're going to say two things. First, remind everyone, when is the workshop? We're going to share the link to apply. There is a cost involved because this is a workshop that brings value and that brings teaching. So it's not a free webinar. It is, there's a small money contribution. So Rachel, why don't you share the details of the workshop? And then you mentioned some kind of discount for the global network. I don't want to give the discount here. I want to say that people who are part of the global network would reach out to me or to you, and then we would decide and give it in private message or, specific, on a case-by-case basis based on who is in the global network or not. So Rachel, let us know more details, more specific details, so that people know where to register.
Okay. So the workshop is going to be Wednesday, November 13th at 12 p.m. Eastern, which I believe is 6 p.m. South Africa time. And you'll have to do the math for where that is in your time zone. But we figured 12 p.m. Eastern is a good kind of anchor point. So it's virtual. It's a 90-minute workshop. The regular price is $69. So like Natalie, like you said, we are offering a generous discount to women in this community. So definitely reach out for the special link for the discount. But otherwise, you can find it at honeybebold.com/brand-workshop.
Amazing. So we'll write the link. Don't worry. Sorry, Sonja?
Sorry, I want to add one thing here, because when we talk about the workshop, one benefit that we've seen is when you're in the workshop we learn together because it's an interactive workshop, but also what's so wonderful is you learn so much from the other people that are in the workshop. So it might be someone that comes from a different industry that also, sometimes the same industry, and you get some new ideas, but really the value of the workshop and why we wanted it in that structure is so that you can learn from other people that are in the workshop. And maybe there's another opportunity to collaborate, or maybe you'll meet your new business bestie. We don't know.
Right. And I think when I heard you, Rachel, talk about Eastern Time, South Africa, we forgot to mention this magic, right? Sonja is talking about the magic middle, but there's also a magic global, right? Which is like working from South Africa to New York and overcoming the challenges of the time difference and finding this connection that is beyond, borders and time difference. And I think that this is also a great advantage of our time and a great advantage of the global network where you can really connect. So I'm sure that your workshop is also going to be international and global. And so it's also the opportunity to meet with people from different parts of the world. So I'm very excited. I hope that a lot of people from the community will take advantage of the discount, because it is a very generous offer that you're making. And like we said, we'll share the general link. And if you are part of the Facebook group or the global network community, because this live is spread on YouTube and LinkedIn podcast platform. So we know that some people are going to listen to it that are not necessarily in the community, but we'll share the link, and we'll wait for you to reach out to us for the discount. I'm going to end with one question to each, and then we'll close this podcast. Rachel, what is the one advice that you would give to someone who wants to, have a strategic partnership, or is interested but doesn't know how to start, or what it would bring? What would be the one advice that you would give them?
The biggest piece of advice would be to remain open and to approach every networking call as coffee with a friend. Just think of it as you're making a new friend. Don't think of it as pitching your services or anything like that, because that's when it starts to feel yucky. Really think about it as like, I'm just talking to someone, getting to know someone, and it just allows you to be so much more open.
Wow, amazing. I love it. Sonja, same question for you. What would be the one piece of advice that you would give to someone who wants to, either start or, have a strategic partnership with another business owner?
Mine is a bit more, once you've decided that you want to do work together, be very, very clear about what you're going to do and what they're going to do, and be clear about that structure and put that in the diary, because otherwise it's one of those things that you want to do it, but you never get to it. So if you put in the diaries, this is what we're going to do, this is a earmark a date, and then map out how you're going to work it and who's going to do what. Because, when you start out on this collaboration journey, you're testing new skills and you're testing new markets. And often it's something that you can push to the side. But if you really want to test it and you really want to try something, make sure it happens.
Yes, I love that. Wow, thank you so much, both of you, for the insights on the partnership, and also for offering this workshop that I'm sure is going to be of great value. I loved having you on the podcast, and I would love to hear how everything is going on for you, how you're developing your relationship and your partnership. And we are wishing you the best for the workshop. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
Bye, everyone, and see you for next episode of the Jewish Women Entrepreneurs and Leaders podcast. Bye, everyone.